You came into trading with hope, didn't you? That spark of possibility, that dream of freedom. Maybe you saw someone online turning a laptop into a money machine. Maybe you read a story about a trader who made millions from their bedroom. Or maybe you just felt it in your gut that this was your way out, your shot at something bigger than a paycheck. And so you began. Charts, indicators, strategies, courses, gurus. It was like walking into a marketplace where every stall screamed, "This is the secret! This is the edge! This is the key you've been missing!" You grabbed everything you could, desperate not to fall behind. You thought the more you learned, the faster you'd win. But somewhere along the way, that dream turned heavy. You found yourself drowning in information, overloaded with setups. Every day was a battle of indecision. One moment you believed in breakouts, the next you chased reversals. One moment RSI was your truth, the next you swore by Fibonacci. And through it all, your results stayed the same: inconsistent, frustrating, and disappointing. And the question kept echoing in your mind: why isn't this working? What am I missing? Here's the answer. You weren't missing anything. You were chasing too much. Trading doesn't demand more. It demands less. It doesn't reward complexity. It rewards simplicity. It doesn't favor the trader with the biggest toolbox. It favors the trader who can wield one tool with precision. That's the truth you're about to face. The power of one trading setup. Not 10, not 5, just one. The setup you know inside and out. The setup you've repeated until hesitation dies and discipline takes its place. The setup that frees you from noise, from doubt, from chasing every move the market throws at you. It feels counterintuitive, doesn't it? Almost insulting to think that something so simple could change everything. But deep down, you know complexity hasn't served you. Variety hasn't given you control. If anything, it's stolen it from you. This journey isn't about learning something new. It's about unlearning the addiction to more. It's about stripping away the chaos until you're left with clarity. It's about choosing one lane and walking it until it becomes second nature. That's where consistency lives. That's where calm confidence is born. That's where traders stop bleeding and start building. So this is not a book about strategies. This is not a list of setups for you to collect. This is a mirror, a reminder, a challenge. Because if you have the courage to let go of the noise, to stop searching for the next big thing, and to master one simple edge, you will finally discover the thing you've been chasing all along. Not just profits, but peace. Welcome to the power of one trading setup, why less is actually more. Chapter 1. The Endless Search for the Perfect Setup. You sit down at your desk, eyes fixed on the glowing screen in front of you. Candlesticks rise and fall, flickering in red and green, as if mocking your uncertainty. And you feel it, that restless urge that has haunted you since the day you first dipped your toes into trading. The thought that maybe, just maybe, if you could find the right strategy, the right combination of indicators, the right magical setup, everything would fall into place. You've been here before, haven't you? Scrolling through forums, watching YouTube videos until 3 a.m., downloading PDF secrets from strangers who promised 90% win rates. Each new idea felt like a spark of hope, something fresh, something different, something that would finally turn your trading around. But deep down, you know the truth. Those sparks never last. They fizzle out, leaving you in the same place you started, confused, overwhelmed, and exhausted. And the cruelest part? You weren't lazy. You weren't careless. You were actually trying too hard. Piling on indicators, memorizing patterns, testing one strategy on Monday and a different one by Friday. You were chasing certainty, but what you found was chaos. Trading feels like it should be about more. More tools, more setups, more screens, more complexity. But in reality, it's about less. You've probably heard the phrase before, keep it simple. It sounds cliché, almost insulting in its simplicity. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't lose because you're not smart enough. You lose because you refuse to let go of the noise. Imagine this. You walk into a crowded room filled with hundreds of people all talking at once. Everyone is shouting their version of the truth. Some say buy, some say sell, some say wait. You try to listen to all of them, desperate not to miss the real answer. But what happens? You freeze, you second guess, you doubt, you're paralyzed. That's your mind on multiple setups. Now imagine the same room, but this time there's only one voice speaking. Calm, steady, familiar. You don't have to strain to hear it. You don't have to debate whether it's the right one. You just follow it. That's the power of trading with one setup. But here's where the resistance comes in. Your ego hates the idea. It whispers, what if I'm missing something? What if there's a better setup out there? What if this one isn't enough? And so you keep searching, thinking more equals better. It doesn't. You're about to learn that mastering one setup, just one, is the turning point between mediocrity and consistency. Not because it's magical, not because it guarantees profits, but because it rewires your brain to focus, to wait, to execute without hesitation. When you strip away everything else, you're left with clarity. Think back to the times you lost big. Was it really because the market was against you? Or because you couldn't decide? Because you were distracted? Because you took a trade that wasn't part of any plan at all? Be honest with yourself. Most of your losses didn't come from the setup failing. They came from you failing to stick with one. And let's be real. The industry doesn't want you to believe this. Brokers want you overtrading. Gurus want you addicted to their next big strategy. Platforms want you subscribing to endless indicators. The machine feeds on your chaos. But not anymore. Because you're going to step out of that trap. You're going to stop acting like a collector of strategies and start acting like a master of one. You'll learn to see the same pattern over and over until it's burned into your brain. You'll learn the patience to wait for it, even when nothing else is happening. And you'll learn the discipline to ignore everything that isn't it. That's where the freedom comes from. Not from endless options, but from narrowing your vision to one clear lane. Yes, it feels risky. Yes, it feels limiting. But trading is not about feeding your ego with variety. It's about training your mind to see clearly, act decisively, and repeat consistently. When you think back years from now, you'll realize something profound. The moment you gave up on chasing every setup was the moment you started becoming a trader. So let's start here. Forget the noise. Forget the endless search. Forget the illusion that more setups equal more success. From this point forward, you are not a strategy collector. You are a setup master. This journey won't be easy. Your mind will fight you. Your habits will resist. But if you can hold the line, if you can commit to the power of one, you'll finally discover the consistency you've been chasing all along. And once you master that, you'll realize less is not just more. Less is everything.
Chapter 2. Why Your Brain Craves Complexity. You sit there, staring at the chart, and you feel it, the urge to do something. That itch in your fingers, that restlessness in your chest. It's not enough to wait. It's not enough to keep things simple. Your brain screams for action, for movement, for more. And this is where the trap begins. Your mind, like every human mind, craves complexity. It wants puzzles, patterns, and constant stimulation. The idea of relying on just one setup feels boring, almost insulting. You think, how can one simple pattern possibly be enough to trade a market this big, this unpredictable, this wild? So you reach for more. You add another indicator, then another. You start mixing setups. Breakouts one day, reversals the next. Moving averages on Monday, Fibonacci retracements on Tuesday. It feels like progress. It feels like you're covering all your bases. But in reality, you're feeding your brain's addiction to noise. Think about it. When was the last time you lost money simply because you couldn't stop tinkering? You saw a trade that matched your setup, but you didn't take it. Why? Because another indicator gave you doubt. Or maybe you took the trade, but you closed it early because a different tool flashed a warning. Instead of clarity, you built confusion. Instead of confidence, you built hesitation. Here's the truth. Your brain doesn't want clarity. Clarity is quiet. Clarity is boring. Clarity doesn't give you the thrill of discovery. Complexity, on the other hand, feels exciting. It tricks you into believing you're smarter, more prepared, more in control. But the market doesn't reward excitement. The market rewards discipline. Picture this, two traders sitting side by side. One has 6 monitors stacked with charts, flashing indicators, and a notebook full of strategies. The other has one chart open, one setup marked, and the patience of a sniper. Who looks more impressive? The first trader, no doubt. Who feels more powerful? Again, the first. But who makes money consistently? Almost always the second. Why? Because simplicity cuts through the noise. Simplicity doesn't require you to juggle a dozen conflicting signals. It requires you to recognize one familiar pattern and act over and over, without hesitation. But your ego hates this. Your ego whispers, if trading were really this simple, wouldn't everyone be rich? And that's where most traders fall apart. They confuse simple with easy. Trading is not easy. It never will be. But it is simple, if you can silence the noise long enough to see it. Here's what happens when you cling to complexity. You paralyze yourself with too many choices. You second-guess every decision. You chase setups that don't align just to feel busy. You lose faith in your edge because you never give it the time to play out. And the cruelest part? The more you chase complexity, the more you believe you need it. You become addicted to the constant search, the endless hunt for something new. It feels like progress, but it's not. It's a hamster wheel. Now compare that to focusing on one setup. At first, it feels limiting. You worry you'll miss out. You worry the market will leave you behind. But over time, something incredible happens. Your eyes sharpen. You start noticing tiny details in your setup you never saw before. The way momentum shifts just before the move, the subtle candle formations that confirm your entry, the perfect moment to scale out. It's like staring at the same painting every day until you see brushstrokes you never knew existed. That's mastery. That's depth. And here's the irony. When you master one setup, you actually gain more freedom than you ever had with a dozen, because you don't waste energy on noise. You don't second-guess every tick. You don't drown in options. You see your setup, you act, and you move on. But to get there, you have to fight your brain's addiction to complexity. You have to be willing to sit in boredom. You have to resist the urge to add just one more indicator or just one more strategy. That's not progress. That's sabotage. So the next time you feel the itch for more, pause. Ask yourself, am I searching for clarity or am I feeding my ego? Am I building discipline or am I feeding addiction?
Because here's the paradox. The more complex your trading becomes, the less control you actually have. And the simpler your trading becomes, the more powerful you truly are. You don't need more setups. You don't need more screens. You don't need more noise. You need the courage to master one. Chapter 3. The Illusion of More Opportunities. You've been told your whole life that more is better. More choices mean more freedom. More opportunities mean more chances to win. More tools mean more control. And in most areas of life, that's true. But trading flips that logic upside down. When you chase more opportunities in trading, you don't create freedom, you create chaos. Think about it. You open your platform and see a dozen potential setups. Breakout forming here, a reversal pattern there, some random indicator flashing a signal, and suddenly your brain is split in 10 different directions. You're no longer asking, is this my setup? Instead, you're asking, which one looks best right now? And that tiny shift in thinking destroys you. Because trading is not about finding the most opportunities. It's about finding the right ones. That's why one setup is enough. Because when you have one setup, there's no debate. There's no endless weighing of options. There's no fear of missing out on the better trade. There's only your setup. Either it's there or it isn't. But here's what most traders do. They fall into the illusion of more. They chase multiple setups, thinking it will give them more chances to make money. In reality, it gives them more chances to lose. Why? Because each setup comes with its own rules, its own nuances, its own conditions. You can't master them all. You can't internalize all those details to the point where you execute them flawlessly under pressure. So instead, you half learn each one, half trust each one, and second guess them all. It's like juggling knives. Maybe you can keep 2 in the air, maybe 3, but sooner or later, you slip. And in trading, that slip costs real money. Now, imagine the opposite. Imagine focusing on just one setup. You see it, you know it, you trust it. You don't hesitate, you don't doubt, you don't jump ship at the first sign of noise. You just execute. Clean, precise, repeated. That's the difference between dabbling and mastery. And here's the kicker. Opportunities are infinite in the market. The market never stops moving. There will always be another candle, another swing, another breakout. Your job is not to catch them all. Your job is to catch the ones that belong to you. But your ego fights this truth. Your ego whispers, if I don't take this trade, I might miss out. That's the disease of FOMO, the fear of missing out. It convinces you that sitting on your hands is failure, that waiting for your setup is weakness, that watching a move happen without you is unbearable. But ask yourself, how many times have you chased a move that wasn't yours, only to watch it crash against you? How many times have you broken your rules out of fear of missing out, only to regret it minutes later? Be honest, you don't need more trades, you need better trades. Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Consistency doesn't come from opportunity. Consistency comes from repetition, from doing the same thing over and over until it's automatic, from trading one setup so many times that you could recognize it in your sleep. Think about professional athletes. A basketball player doesn't practice 10 different shots randomly every day. They practice the same motion, the same angle, the same release thousands of times. Boring? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. By the time they step onto the court, that shot is burned into muscle memory. They don't think, they just execute. That's exactly what you need as a trader. One setup, thousands of repetitions, muscle memory for the mind. And here's where the illusion of more becomes dangerous. When you chase more setups, you never give yourself enough repetitions to master any of them. You spread yourself thin. You become a jack of all trades and a master of none. But when you commit to one setup, something incredible happens. You stop fearing missed opportunities. You stop chasing every flicker on the chart. You start developing patience, discipline, and clarity. And ironically, by doing less, you gain more control than you ever imagined. Because this isn't about catching every move. This is about catching your move, the one you know, the one you've mastered, the one you trust. So the next time you feel that fear of missing out, the next time you see a move that doesn't fit your setup and you feel the itch to jump in, pause. Ask yourself, am I chasing more or am I protecting my edge? Am I trading because it's mine or because I'm afraid to miss out? The truth is simple. More opportunities don't make you a better trader. They make you a busier gambler. But one setup makes you a professional. Chapter 4. The Discipline of Repetition. You've probably heard the phrase, repetition is the mother of skill. It sounds simple, almost too obvious. But in trading, repetition is more than skill. It's survival. Think back to your early days. Every chart felt like new territory. Every candlestick seemed like a puzzle. Every decision carried the weight of uncertainty. You second-guessed yourself constantly. Was that a breakout or a fake-out? Was that a trend shift or just noise? You didn't know because you hadn't seen it enough times. Now imagine this. You've committed to one setup. Day after day you sit down and watch it. You don't care about other patterns. You don't chase every move. You're like a hunter who studies the tracks of one animal until you know its every habit, every quirk, every tell. Over time, something changes. The market doesn't feel like chaos anymore. It feels familiar. That's the power of repetition. Every time you see your setup, your brain builds connections, neural pathways strengthen, confidence grows. You start recognizing subtle details, the way volume spikes just before the breakout, the way a particular candle shape often signals failure, the rhythm of how the move unfolds. These aren't things you can learn from books. They come only from repetition. And repetition does something else, too. It kills hesitation. Think about the last time you hesitated on a trade. You saw the setup, but you doubted yourself. You froze. And by the time you finally clicked, the move was gone. Why? Because your brain wasn't ready. You hadn't seen it enough times to trust it. Repetition fixes that. With enough exposure, hesitation disappears. You stop asking, "Is this it?" You just know. You see the setup, and your hand moves almost automatically. Not recklessly, but with calm certainty. It's like driving a car. Remember your first time behind the wheel? Every movement was tense. You thought about every turn, every signal, every brake. But now, you drive without thinking. You sip your coffee, change the radio, hold a conversation, all while steering 2 tons of steel at 60 miles an hour. That's the power of repetition. What once felt terrifying becomes second nature. And in trading, that's exactly what you need. But here's the hard part. Repetition requires boredom. It requires doing the same thing over and over until mastery replaces novelty. Most traders can't handle that. They get bored, so they chase something new. They abandon the path just before the breakthrough. That's why the majority never make it. Your ego will fight this. Your ego will scream, "This is too simple. This can't be enough. I need more to stay sharp, more to feel alive." But that's not trading. That's entertainment. That's gambling dressed up as analysis. Real trading mastery doesn't come from variety. It comes from discipline. From showing up every day and rehearsing the same play until it becomes part of who you are. And here's where the magic happens. Once your setup is second nature, your emotional state changes. You stop riding the roller coaster of fear and greed. You stop feeling desperate to prove yourself on every trade. You stop needing constant action because you know with quiet certainty that your setup will come again. It always does. You just have to wait. That patience, that calm confidence, is the direct result of repetition. But don't mistake repetition for perfection. You'll still lose trades. You'll still take hits. That's part of the game. The difference is those losses won't shake you anymore. They won't feel like failure. They'll feel like data. Another repetition logged. Another lesson learned. Because when you trade one setup, every outcome, win or loss, feeds the same muscle. Every repetition sharpens your edge. Every trade brings you closer to mastery. So ask yourself, do you want to be a collector of strategies, dabbling in 10 things you barely understand? Or do you want to be a master of one, with thousands of clean repetitions behind you? One path feeds your ego. The other path feeds your account. And if you choose the second path, if you choose repetition, you'll find something else along the way too. You'll find peace. That rare calm in the chaos of the market. The kind of peace that only comes from knowing exactly who you are, exactly what you trade, and exactly how you win. Repetition isn't glamorous, it's not exciting, it's not Instagram-worthy, but it's the difference between a gambler and a professional, between chaos and control, between failure and consistency. And consistency is the only thing that pays. Conclusion. So here you are, at the end of this journey. You've walked through the illusions, the distractions, the endless traps that trading lays before you. You've seen why your brain craves complexity, why you've been seduced by more, and why that path only ever leads to confusion. And now, you see the truth. It's not about catching every move. It's not about juggling 10 strategies. It's not about proving how clever or creative you are. It's about discipline. It's about patience. It's about the mastery that comes from doing one thing over and over until it becomes who you are. One setup. Think about how different your trading life looks from here. No more frantic switching between strategies. No more second-guessing every decision. No more late nights wondering if you're missing the real secret. You know your setup, you wait for it, you trust it, you act on it. That's it. Does that mean you'll never lose? Of course not. Losses are part of the game. But they'll no longer shake you to your core. They won't send you spiraling into doubt or chasing something new. Because you'll know. You followed your setup. You stayed disciplined. And in the long run, that's all that matters. This is the paradox that separates professionals from amateurs. Amateurs chase complexity. Professionals master simplicity. Amateurs look for excitement. Professionals look for repetition. Amateurs drown in noise. Professionals thrive in clarity. And now, the choice is yours. You can keep searching, keep collecting, keep drowning in more. Or you can do the harder, braver thing, commit to one setup and walk the path of mastery. It won't feel glamorous, it won't feel exciting. Some days it will feel boring, even painful. But on the other side of that boredom is freedom. Freedom from doubt, freedom from chaos, freedom from the endless chase. Because in the end, trading isn't about finding more opportunities. It's about finding your opportunity over and over again. So when you sit down at your desk tomorrow, ask yourself one question. Am I chasing or am I mastering? Am I adding noise or am I choosing clarity? Am I trying to be everywhere or am I committed to being consistent in one place? That answer will decide your future. The market doesn't owe you anything. It won't reward your desperation. It won't care how many indicators you load onto your screen, but it will reward your discipline. It will reward your patience. It will reward the trader who learns that less is not just more. Less is everything. And when that day comes, when you finally see that one setup, when you take it without hesitation, when you trust yourself fully, you'll know this is what you were searching for all along. Not a dozen strategies, not a secret formula, Just clarity, just consistency, just peace. The power of one.